Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our updates. Today we've got something really exciting lined up for you. We're exploring some never-before-seen questions that you might encounter on the GED exam. These are designed to challenge your understanding and prepare you even better for the real thing. So grab your notebooks and let's get started with these exclusive GED practice questions. So let's get into it. First, let's read the passage together. In the heart of the city, there was a bakery that never slept. The Midnight Bakery was popular among the city's night owls. Stella, the owner, had created a cozy place that served warm bread and pastries 24/7. The walls were adorned with pictures of Paris, and the scent of fresh coffee was always in the air. Stella's decision to open the bakery was inspired by her grandmother, who had run a small cafe in Paris decades earlier. Despite her initial fears of failure, the bakery thrived, becoming a sanctuary for those seeking a quiet spot to reflect or work during the wee hours. Now, let's look at the question we have based on this passage. What can be inferred about Stella's character based on her decision to open the bakery? Here are your options. A. She values tradition. B. She is influenced by family history. C. She is adventurous. D. She is financially driven. Take a moment. Think about what the passage tells us and what each of these answer choices could mean in the context of the passage. Maybe even pause the video here, give yourself a minute to think about it, and then we'll continue. Ready? Okay, let's dissect this together. When we're asked what can be inferred about Stella, we're being asked to look beyond the text for clues about her character. That's what inference is all about, pulling meaning from what's suggested but not explicitly stated. Let's consider each answer. A says she values tradition. Well, the passage mentions the bakery is styled with pictures of Paris and offers a traditional bakery vibe. But does that focus on her personal value of tradition? Or is it more about the ambiance she wants to create? B says she is influenced by family history. This makes a lot of sense because the passage explicitly mentions that her decision was inspired by her grandmother's cafe in Paris. That's a direct family influence on her major life decision. C suggests she is adventurous. Opening a bakery that operates 24/7 in the heart of the city might seem adventurous, but the passage doesn't explicitly highlight adventure as her motivation. D states she is financially driven. There's nothing in the passage about her opening the bakery for financial reasons. It seems more passion-driven and influenced by personal history. So, based on the passage, the best choice here is B. She is influenced by family history. This choice directly connects to what we know about Stella and why she opened the bakery, reflecting the influence of her grandmother. Now, why is it important to break down each option? It helps ensure that you are choosing an answer for the right reasons, and understanding the rationale behind each choice strengthens your test-taking strategies. This breakdown helps you see how to approach reading comprehension questions where you need to infer or draw conclusions. Remember, always link your choice back to the evidence in the text, and don't forget to think critically about each option provided. Let's quickly revisit the passage to remind ourselves of the context. In the heart of the city, there was a bakery that never slept. The Midnight Bakery was popular among the city's night owls. Stella, the owner, had created a cozy place that served warm bread and pastries 24/7. The walls were adorned with pictures of Paris, and the scent of fresh coffee was always in the air. Stella's decision to open the bakery was inspired by her grandmother, who had run a small cafe in Paris decades earlier. Despite her initial fears of failure, the bakery thrived, becoming a sanctuary for those seeking a quiet spot to reflect or work during the wee hours. Now, based on this passage, let's look at our question and the task at hand. Put these events in the correct order. 1. Stella opens the bakery. 2. The bakery becomes a city hotspot. 3. Stella is inspired by her grandmother. IV means 4 in Roman numerals. Stella faces fears of failure. Let's break this down together. And I encourage you to pause the video right after we read each option, think about it, and then play again to hear the discussion. Ready? Option A, 3, 1, 4, 2. This means Stella is first inspired by her grandmother. Then she opens the bakery, faces her fears of failure, and finally, the bakery becomes a city hotspot. Option B, 1, 3, 4, 2. This order suggests that Stella opens the bakery first, then gets inspired by her grandmother, faces fears of failure, and then the bakery becomes a hotspot. Does this make sense chronologically? Think about it. Option C, 3, 4, 1, 2. Here, Stella is inspired by her grandmother first, then immediately faces fears of failure, opens the bakery, and it becomes a hotspot. Reflect on this sequence. Option D, 4, 3, 1, 2. This one proposes that Stella first faces fears of failure, then is inspired by her grandmother, opens the bakery, and it becomes a hotspot. Now, let's analyze. The passage clearly states that Stella's decision to open the bakery was inspired by her grandmother, who once ran a cafe in Paris. This inspiration is a starting point. It's what sets everything else in motion. So, 3 must come first. That immediately makes options B and D less likely, because they don't start with Stella being inspired by her grandmother. Next, after being inspired, what logically happens? Stella opens the bakery. That's a direct outcome of her inspiration. So, 1 should follow 3. Now, between options A and C, only A continues correctly, with 1 following 3. After opening the bakery before it becomes a success, Stella faces her fears of failure. That's a natural progression in a narrative about overcoming obstacles to achieve success. So 4 comes next. Finally, after overcoming her fears, the success of the bakery culminating in it becoming a city hotspot makes sense as the last step, 2. Therefore, the correct answer is A, 3, 1, 4, 2. Why are the other answers incorrect? Simply because they don't follow the logical order of events as described in the passage, or they start with an action that, based on the narrative, could not have been the first step. This type of question tests not just your memory of the passage, but your ability to understand cause and effect, and the sequence that events logically follow. Always look for cues in the text that indicate time or sequence, like first, then, inspired by, which help determine the correct order. If you're ready, let's move on to the next passage. The city's championship game was more than just a game for Marcus. It was a chance to prove his mettle. Throughout the season, Marcus had struggled with self-doubt, despite his teammates' constant support. The final game was intense, with the team trailing by 2 points as the clock ticked down. With seconds left, Marcus shot the winning three-pointer, a moment that became legendary in his high school's history. Now, let's think about what this passage is really telling us. Pause the video here, read it again slowly, and try to imagine the scene and Marcus's feelings throughout the season and during this final game. Ready to move on? Great. Here's our first question based on the passage. Question 3. What does the sequence of events leading to Marcus's final shot suggest about his development? Here are the answer choices. A. He was consistently confident. B. He learned to overcome his doubts. C. He was unaffected by pressure. D. He was the team's only hope. Let's analyze this together. The passage explicitly mentions that Marcus struggled with self-doubt despite his teammates' constant support. This is crucial because it tells us that confidence was not his constant companion. Rather, it was something he had to work on. So, option A, stating he was consistently confident, doesn't align with the narrative. Option B, he learned to overcome his doubts, seems to fit well because despite the ongoing struggle with self-doubt, Marcus takes and makes the crucial shot. This action illustrates a climax in his development, overcoming his internal struggles to succeed when it mattered most. Option C suggests he was unaffected by pressure. However, the intensity of the situation and his previous doubts imply that he felt the pressure but managed to handle it, rather than being unaffected by it. Option D, he was the team's only hope, isn't supported by the text. While Marcus made the crucial shot, there's no indication that he was the only player who could have done so, just that it was his moment of overcoming personal challenges. So, the best answer here is B. He learned to overcome his doubts. This choice directly reflects the narrative arc described in the passage. Now on to the second question. Question 4. Which words best describe Marcus's journey through the season? Here are your options. A says unwavering, detached, and victorious. B says hesitant, supported, and triumphant. C says disinterested, isolated, and successful. And finally, D says confident, independent, and defeated. Again, let's break it down. Unwavering and confident contradict the initial description of Marcus dealing with self-doubt. Detached, disinterested, and isolated also do not fit since the text mentions his teammates' support, indicating engagement and connection. The word triumphant fits well because he ultimately succeeds in a high-pressure situation, and hesitant aligns with his struggles with self-doubt. supported reflects the teammate's role in his season. Therefore, the answer that best captures the essence of Marcus's experience throughout the season is B, hesitant, supported, triumphant. This choice encapsulates the struggle, the support, and the final victory. What do you think about these analyses? Do they make sense with how you interpreted the passage? Feel free to pause here, reflect on these thoughts, or rewind if you need to reconsider the passage or the discussion. Let's read about Clara. Clara, a young environmental lawyer, was offered a high-paying job at a prestigious firm. However, the firm was known for defending companies that polluted the environment. Clara, passionate about conservation, struggled with the decision. She discussed it with her mentor, who advised her to consider her long-term career goals and personal ethics. Eventually, Clara declined the offer, choosing instead to work for a nonprofit that focused on environmental protection. Question 5. How does the author use the interaction between Clara and her mentor to advance the narrative? The options are A, to highlight Clara's ethical dilemma, B, to introduce a new character, C, to conclude the story quickly, D, to showcase the mentor's influence. Think about what each option implies. Option A is telling us that the author uses this mentor to bring Clara's inner conflict to the forefront, her choice between a high-paying job and her moral stand against pollution. Option B seems off track, right? The mentor isn't just a new character for the sake of it. They serve a specific purpose. C doesn't fit because the mentor's advice doesn't conclude the story, but rather pushes it to a pivotal decision. And D, while it's tempting, makes it sound like the mentor is the main influencer, but the focus is really on how this interaction helps Clara articulate and face her dilemma. So, the best answer? A, to highlight Clara's ethical dilemma. This interaction brings Clara's internal conflict into sharper focus, emphasizing the narrative's central theme. Question 6. What conclusion can be drawn about Clara's personality from her final decision? Your choices. A, she values money over principles. B, she is influenced by her mentor. C, she prioritizes her ethical standards. D, she avoids challenging situations. This question asks us to infer something about Clara based on her actions. Option A is directly contradicted by her decision. B might seem plausible, but it doesn't get to the heart of her decision. It's more about where her values lie, not just influence. D is clearly not the case because facing a moral dilemma head-on is hardly avoiding a challenge. That leaves us with C, which aligns perfectly with her decision to work for a nonprofit for ethical reasons. Correct answer? C. She prioritizes her ethical standards. This choice speaks directly to the values driving her actions throughout the passage. Passage 4. The Lost City. Let's explore another setting. An archaeologist doctor. Lena discovered what she believed to be the remains of a lost city in the dense jungles of South America. The site contained numerous artifacts that suggested a thriving civilization once existed there. Dr. Lena's team excavated carefully, uncovering items that told stories of trade, culture, and possibly sudden disappearance. Question 7. What role does the setting play in the passage about Dr. Lena's discovery? Here are our options. A. It emphasizes the isolation of the lost city. B. It highlights the difficulty of the excavation. C. It adds to the mystery of the discovery. D. All of the above. Take a moment. Think about how the dense jungles might affect the story of this lost city. The isolation, the excavation challenge due to the dense jungle, and the overall mystery created by such a setting all contribute to the narrative, right? Each element is integral. The most comprehensive choice here? D. All of the above. Each aspect mentioned enhances the setting's role in the story, creating a fuller, richer understanding of Dr. Lena's discovery. Passage 4. The Lost City. Recall Dr. Lena's discovery. An archaeologist, doctor. Lena discovered what she believed to be the remains of a lost city in the dense jungles of South America. The site contained numerous artifacts that suggested a thriving civilization once existed there. Dr. Lena's team excavated carefully, uncovering items that told stories of trade, culture, and possibly sudden disappearance. Now let's talk about question 8. What do you think this question is asking us to do? It's asking which inference is most supported by the details given in the passage. Remember what making an inference means? It's like being a detective, using the clues in the text to figure out something that's not directly stated. So let's think about what we can deduce from the clues given. Here are the answer choices. Option A suggests that the civilization was advanced in trade and culture. Option B considers if Dr. Lena was inexperienced in her field. Option C thinks about whether the city was hidden intentionally. Option D ponders if the artifacts were from another continent. Reflecting on the passage, which option do you feel aligns best with the details provided? The passage highlights artifacts that tell us about the civilization's trade and culture, right? That seems like a solid clue pointing to their advancement in these areas. Options B, C, and D don't really have direct support from the text. They seem more like guesses without evidence. Thus, the best inference we can make, supported by the actual details, is A, the civilization was advanced in trade and culture. Passage 5, the writer's block. Moving on to Eleanor's scenario. Eleanor sat staring at her computer screen, the cursor blinking mockingly at her. She was on a tight deadline for her novel, but the words just wouldn't flow. Deciding to take a break, she went for a walk in the park, hoping that the change of scenery would spark her creativity. When she returned, she felt rejuvenated and managed to write 3 chapters effortlessly. Question 9. What does Eleanor's action of taking a walk tell us about her approach to problem solving? Let's break down the options. Does she avoid difficult tasks? Maybe she understands the benefits of a mental break? Is she easily distracted? Or does she prefer outdoor activities? Think about why Eleanor chose to take a walk. It wasn't about avoiding work or being distracted, was it? And while enjoying the outdoors might be nice, the key here is how the walk impacted her work. She felt rejuvenated and wrote 3 chapters after returning. This tells us she understands how stepping away can refresh the mind and boost productivity. So the fitting answer is B. She understands the benefits of a mental break. Question 10. Now let's arrange the events in order. Eleanor struggles with writer's block. She goes for a walk. She feels rejuvenated. Then she writes 3 chapters. Based on what we have discussed before, can you spot any signal words or phrases in the passage that help us figure out the sequence? The passage takes us from her struggle to deciding to take a walk, to feeling better, and then writing successfully. So what do you think the correct order should be based on these clues? If you guessed A, 3, 2, 1, 4, then you would be right. This order perfectly matches the flow of events as described. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates. Dive into your studies with this analytical approach, and you'll see great improvements. Keep practicing, and see you in the next video.